the audio and video is working correctly. Very important, because I hate to teach 30 minutes of lessons and then realize that nobody could tell what I'm talking about. So in the meantime, feel free to say hello if you're a new and returning student. I guess you can't be new and returning now, can you? But welcome. All right, so it looks like everything's working. Let me know if it doesn't work. In the meantime, we meet Fridays and Sundays, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And make sure you're subscribed. You have all notifications turned on because we have new lessons coming out all the time. And you don't want to miss a beat. All right. Blue. Okay, and how's the sound for everybody? Okay, it looks good. Okay, piano's there. All right, we're going to get started here. Just let me get a couple things ready. I got to get the Facebook stream started. So let me do that. Feel free to say hello in the meantime. It should take just less than a minute, and then we'll be ready to go. Hello, students, and welcome out to our classroom piano lessons on the web. If you are watching us on Facebook, make sure you like our page. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. You have all notifications turned on because we have new lessons coming out all the time, and you don't want to miss a beat. Yeah, that's what it is. All right, everybody. So today we're talking about the pop song chord progression, and by learning this, you're going to be able to learn a lot of pop songs because they happen to use this pattern of chords. So let me get pretty much all ready to go already. Okay, great. So you're interested in learning how to play pop music on the piano. Well, your piano teacher, Tim, has you covered because today I'm going to show you a chord pattern that's literally used in hundreds, if not thousands of pop songs. So if you really get this down, you're going to be able to learn those pieces a lot better. Breaking down the lesson, first I'm going to explain what the chord pattern is. Next, I'm going to show you that pattern in the key of C, the easiest of all keys it can appear in. And then I'm going to show you how to transpose or how to play the pattern in different keys, because a lot of times you're going to have pieces in other keys in the key of C. And then we're going to wrap up the lesson after that because I'm going to demonstrate how this pattern is actually going to help you play pop music. So let's get started. Okay, everybody. Now, what is the pop song chord progression? Well, let me show you on the pattern here, on the keyboard here. Okay, so here's how we're going to learn it first. We're going to learn it in the key of C. And the first thing you want to do is you want to play a C major chord. Then you want to go to a G major chord. You want to go to an A minor chord, and then go to an F major chord. Now, why is this progression of chords, C major, G major, A minor, and then F major, why is that so good for pop music? Well, it uses majors, but they sneak in a minor chord in there. And if you think about it, pop music a lot of times has a very kind of mixed, melancholy kind of feel. It's usually not all happy feelings, not all sad feelings. It's a mixture of the bunch. So if you think about it, this chord progression perfectly exemplifies that. So practice the progression over and over again in the key of C because you really want to get it down in one key first before you start branching out. Okay, before I'm going to explain how to play this in different keys, I want to explain a little bit of the theory behind this. Now, if you don't understand everything I'm talking about, it's totally fine, but it is really important to understand. I'm going to do my best to make this as simple as possible. So for every key, right, a key tells you what? It tells you what sharps are flat throughout a piece and consistently, right? So if you have an F sharp in your key signature, all Fs in the entire piece are sharped unless it tells you otherwise. So that's how a key works. It's just the set of notes that you're going to be using in the piece. Now, if you put all the notes of a key in order from the starting note, so if you're in the key of A, you're going to start on A, and you play all the notes in between, including any sharps or flats you may need, we call that a scale. So that's the A major scale. We're going to bring it back to C major for a second. The C major scale is the easiest one to understand because it's just from one C to the next C with all the white keys in between. And why is that? Well, the definition of the key of C major is that it has no sharps, no flats, so you don't have to worry about a single thing. And that's one of the reasons we teach you about the key of C first. So there are 8 total notes in this scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. However, the beginning and last note, we usually don't call this 8, we call it 1 again, because it's actually literally the same note. So really you have 7 individual notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then it repeats 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like that, because first and last one are the same. Now, 7 notes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can build a chord on each of these notes, and that will give you all of the chords that exist in a certain key. This is really useful in not only playing this progression that I'm showing you, but writing music as well. Because what a progression is it will use these chords I just showed you, but it will use them in a certain order repeated over and over again, and that's what a chord progression is. So this chord progression specifically, the pop song one, is the first chord is what we call a 1 chord. It's built on the first note of the scale. The next chord is a 5 chord, meaning that we go 5 notes, 3, 4, 5 notes up the C major scale, or whatever scale you're in. You play that note, and hey, that's our progression so far. C major, G major. If you remember, the next chord was A minor. That is 6 notes up the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we call that the 6th chord. It happens to be minor. And then we go to the 4 chord, which happens to be major. So 1, 5, 6, 4. Now, why did I explain all that? What was the point of going through the theory behind it? Well, once you understand the theory behind it and how the chords are constructed, you can begin playing this in pretty much any key. Now, it does help to know your key signatures really well because you will have to have the sharps and flats in the chords to have it work right. But let me show you in the key of G. Key of the G is a perfect... The key of G is the perfect key to show next because it only has 1 sharp. And that's the next to last note, F sharp. So now let's play the 1, 5, 6, 4, also known as the pop song chord progression, in the key of G. Now here's the thing. This changes everything, changing key, because your starting note now is G, which makes that chord the 1 chord now. So now the G chord before was the 5 chord in the key of C. So you just got to be careful that you're shifting gears here. You're really counting now from a totally different note, so be aware of that. So you got G major. Now we got to go up to 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. D major. E minor. Now it's not E major because we don't have a G sharp in the key signature. And the 4 or the 5 chord did have one because you have an F sharp. So there's the 5 chord. You got the 6 chord back to 4. So G, D, E minor, back to C. So that's it in the key of G. Let's together figure it out, this pattern in the key of D. And this will be the last one in and then I'll show you something different. Okay, the key of D. Now the thing I'm just going to tell you right up front about the key of D, it has two sharps, F sharp and C sharp. So you got to be careful that when you construct the chords, if they have an F or a C in them, you have them sharped appropriately. So you have your first chord built on the first note. What's our next chord going to be? It's going to be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's going to be a major chord. So D, A. Then we got to go to 6. You just go up one note. And then we got to play 4, that major. So in the key of D, it's D, A major, B minor, G major. So try playing this progression in at least those 3 keys. If you really have a good understanding of the theory behind it that I talked about, try playing it in literally every key that you can think of. So like the key of B flat or any of the other ones that we haven't done. And try to learn as many keys as you can, because you're going to find pop pieces or pop songs that are in those keys, and you want to be prepared for that. Okay. Okay, great. If you're finding this lesson helpful so far, make sure you smash that like button, because it lets other students know that this is a quality lesson that they can learn from as well. All right, on with the lesson. All right, everybody, I'm going to check in with the chat for a minute. Perfect. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome out. Welcome out. Welcome, Julio. Julio, you're a little bit late, but no problem. We got Jeremy. Jeremy, thank you so much for the $5 super chat that I kind of missed in the beginning there. Thank you so much for your support. All right, we are going to get on with this. This is a great breakdown of the video Axis of Awesome put out a bunch of years ago. That's right. So if there was a video by the Axis of Awesome where they actually played like hundreds of songs with this in it. So they actually did like a really good demonstration video. And the point of this video is just kind of explain that in a little bit more detail, because they kind of just tell you what it is and then they play it and show you how it's used. It's a really good video. It has millions and millions of views, I think. Yes, 1564. You're always welcome, Tim. Thank you. You're very welcome, Jeremy. All right, everybody, we're going to continue here. And then I'll get back to this. Just give me a second, because I got to find something. Oh, here it is. We're all ready to go. Oh, the resolution on this picture is terrible. Okay. Now I'm ready. Okay, now it's time to tie everything I taught you together, and I'm going to actually show you how learning this progression is going to actually help you learn pop music. So let's get started. Okay, so here we have the song Soul to Squeeze, and it happened to be in the movie Coneheads, but it is actually by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Took me a second to remember that. Now, the one thing to keep in mind a lot of times is pieces will have an introduction, like the first 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 lines, where the progression of the song doesn't really fit. It's really, you're really going to find a different progression in the beginning. So what I'm going to do is after the intro here, where the real song comes in, I'm going to show you we have a progression down here. And luckily, in a lot of this music, this pop music, they actually write in what the chords are. So let's analyze this together and kind of see what's going on. So right in the beginning of this measure here, you have an F chord outlined. So let me get the piano in here, see if I can. No, it's not working that way. Okay, so in the opening, you have this F chord here. F major. So we have one flat in our key signature. Now, knowing what your key signatures are is a whole different lesson, but I'm going to give you the answer that we're in the key of F. So if we're in the key of F and our chord is F, that's our one chord, right? So let's figure out the progression really quick in the key of F. So 1, now we need to go to 5, right? You're going up 5 notes in the F scale. So there's 5. You're going to 6, you just go up 1 note, pretty simple. And then you go back to 4. Now you got to be careful because there is a B flat in our key signature. So F major, C major, D minor, and then B flat major. Gee, that should look awfully familiar, right? Because that's literally what we were looking at right here with this bottom line, F major. And then C major, D minor, and then B flat major. Oh geez, I remember this song a lot from the 90s. And then D minor, and then F major again. Wait, so we've repeated the progression. So what you're going to find a lot, and then C major there, what you're going to find a lot is that these progressions repeat over and over again throughout the piece. Now the question I have for you to ponder on, which I'll answer actually, is it possible to change progressions in a piece? Let me know what you think in the comments in the chat. The answer, of course, is yes, you can change progressions in a piece. But a lot of times the pop song chord progression, that's going to be the prevailing chord pattern that you're going to see. Like I said, a lot of times in the intros, they won't use the pattern that they use throughout the whole piece. They'll kind of have like an introduction, real simple pattern, maybe just going between the 1 and 5 chord, just like that. Let me show you one more example. Let me show you another example. Okay, let me show you another example. Which of course is where, here we go. Perfect. Taylor Swift. Hopefully you have some Taylor Swift fans, because that's who I put in the thumbnail. Okay. Okay, the next piece we're going to well, I guess I'll play it, but. Okay, the next piece that we're going to take a look at is Out of the Woods by Taylor Swift. Let's get to it. So here we have Out of the Woods. And if you notice right in the beginning, you're going to see this a lot in pop music. It says NC. Now, what in the world is NC? We don't know any chords like that. That just means no chord. There's not really any specific chord that's being used right there. However, I do think it kind of outlines a C major chord. So the first thing we need to do is kind of ignore the intro because that's not going to be using any chords. The real piece just starts really at the 3rd measure right there where the C major chord comes in right there. And after that, what kind of chords might we expect? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to figure out what chord the first thing we need to do is figure out what key that we're in. So we have no sharps, no flats. And hey, that makes things really easy for us because that's the key of C. It could be an A minor, but taking a look at the first chord of the piece, it's a C major chord, which if you don't know, 99% of the time, the first and last chord of the piece are going to be whatever key you're in. So really easy. Let's figure out what this progression is going to be. We actually already did it. C major, G major we're going to expect next. We got A minor, and then F major. That's the first one we did today. So let's take a look at the example and see if we have that. Well, after the intro, we have a C major chord here. So that checks out. And now in the next measure, there's nothing written here. That means you're using the same chord as the measure before. Now we got a G chord, so that checks out. Now let's check out, what are we going to expect next in the chord? We're going to expect an A minor chord. Oh, look at that. Got him. You got A minor right here. Oh, hey, and then back to F major, which is our 4 chord. So we've completed the progression. And hey, look at this. We actually start kind of a new phrase here at the bottom. And we start the chord progression all over again. And then you'd probably expect the next chord in the next page, which I don't have with me, to be a G major chord, which I'm 99% sure it is. So as you can see that these chords are literally used in these pieces. So the more familiar that you become with playing them, especially in different keys, you're going to be so much better equipped to actually playing these pieces, because half of the work is going to kind of be done for you. A little less than half, because you got to do the rhythms and things, but half of the note work is done for you. So it's really, really going to save you a lot of time to become familiar with not only this pop song chord progression, but whatever genre you're trying to learn, some rock song chord progressions, things like that. Okay, let me say hello to some people. All right, everybody. Any questions about this progression? Postmodern Jukebox, really good at fun video production of journeys. Don't Stop Believing. Okay, pretty cool. Thank you so much, says Ador. Well, welcome out, Ador. Glad to have you with us today. Remember to leave a big fat like on this video. Not just to Ador, but everybody. Got bold caution. This is a breakdown. Okay, I already read that one. All right, it looks like we don't have a lot of questions, which is actually pretty good. That means I assume that everybody kind of understands what, what we're going for in this lesson. Let me do this. Maybe while some questions are coming in, let me kind of walk you through what's coming up the next couple of weeks. Always like to do that with you guys so you know what is happening, what my thoughts are, and what you can look forward to. So just give me a second here. Over on my website, first of all, pianolessonsontheweb.com, I have over 20 courses designed to help you learn a lot more about piano and music. I'm not really going to talk a whole lot about that today, but really, if you are a fan of the YouTube channel and you're getting a lot out of these lessons, you're really, really going to love the courses I have over there. Because not only do they, on my website, because not only do they include instructional videos similar to the ones you see over here on the channel, but they're complete courses. So you're also getting access to accompanying notes that you can follow along with, worksheets, real sheet music to play, and assignments to make sure that you're not only just like learning each topic, you're actually practicing and mastering them as well. But I'll let you read all about that. I really want to talk to you about the community page, because this is for attendees of the live stream, and I still have not changed the time over here. It should say 1 p.m. EST. It's always the smallest changes that I forget. Anything like real big, I remember. But anyway, scroll down here. If you're interested in attending on a regular basis, I recommend you fill out this form here, and you'll get an email reminder 30 minutes before we meet. It tends to do a lot better than the YouTube notification system, which is all over the place. Okay, like I said in the beginning of the lesson, if you didn't catch it, we meet Fridays, Sundays, 1 p.m. Fridays, Sundays, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is what we're talking about in when, this calendar here. This is the real important stuff of this page. So on Friday, we're talking about how to play canon in D, which is going to be kind of cool. A lot of people really like that piece. On Sunday, which is next week from now, I'm going to be teaching you how to play background music. So if you're ever, enlisted to play for, like a wedding or something, or just anything you want to play for friends and you don't really have anything learned that is recited already, I'm going to just kind of show you how to kind of play around with the piano a little bit and, kind of come up with some patterns that are easy to play, easy to improvise. The next Friday after that, I'm going to teach you how to add chords to a melody. I did this lesson years ago, but I can do so much better of a lesson now, and I'll try to add some value into that lesson I haven't talked about before. And then you can just read the rest, really, of what's coming up. We have some really good lessons coming out in June. I will update the calendar probably next week or so once I kind of have those all solidified and it's all set in stone. Will you do more videos on how to play by ear? I probably will. I probably will not do a lot of them because I'm not huge on playing by ear. I have to admit that that's probably one of the areas as a musician, one of my trouble areas, right? Like I can do it and I can teach it. It's just not something that's like I'm. If you notice, I make way more lessons on how to read music, like super effectively, because to me at least, the way my brain works, that kind of stuff really gets me way further ahead. Don't get me wrong, practicing your ear training and things really helps you out. But that stuff like how to process large quantities of notes in the smallest amount of time possible. I find that that's so applicable not only to playing but music theory or really anything else. And actually, it's applicable to ear training as well because you'll be able to identify the chord. Oh, that's a G major chord, and check the music, and you're right. Gene says I'm older than Taylor Swift's grandfather, and I'm banging out chords to delicate. Fun. Well, that's really cool. The thing about Taylor Swift is I've never been like a huge Taylor Swift fan, but I do appreciate her. Like I do appreciate her talent. I do like because I get a lot of like a lot of my girl students, especially for a while, not so much anymore, but still a little bit, love to play Taylor Swift pieces, and I have to admit that they're pretty good. It's not something I would listen to all the time, but should work out. Somebody said lost in transmission, so now hopefully. Let me know if you guys also lost it. I hope not. Won't be on next Sunday is my recital. Well, best of luck to you, the Bird 101, on your recital. And I hope it works out super awesome, which I'm sure it will be. Let us know how it goes. Excuse me. Fanny Tosca. Let me get a drink here. Finally catching on. While I'm sipping this, I want to thank Peter Boltok again for the $50 super chat. I really appreciate that. Thanks for the support. Okay, did anybody else lose the transmission, or is everybody good? I'm actually preparing Canon and D for my next showcase. All right, and I have a hell of a time to improvise the fingering. Okay. I think I've got it, but not too bad. All right, great. I'm really looking forward to hearing that. And I think that's perfect because it's the beginning of the month. I'm going to be teaching this lesson next week, and then you can submit your recording after that. So you can see if I have any kind of helpful tips for you that'll help you out. That's perfect. Carl says my YouTube just told me about the live stream. Good thing I was already here. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing about the YouTube is that it'll notify you when the live stream's over. Got it back. The transmission. Okay, great. Fanny says thank you. You're giving me complexes. Well, I'm not trying to. Or maybe everybody else is. I don't know. All right, I'm good. Says Gene. Perfect. I look like Steve from Blue's Clues. Maybe now I do. I think with the cut hair, and I've lost some weight, I could see that a little bit. I've never thought that before, but looking at myself in the camera, I sort of do. You know who I get all the time? Literally, yeah, I don't have a striped, like a shirt or anything, but you know who I get all the time? Is who is that guy? I don't even know who he is. He's like a jeez, what is his name? I get it all the time. I'll remember in a second. It's really weird though. How about a lesson on patterns? Okay. What kind of patterns? Rhythmic patterns, chord patterns. Kessie says, I am a total beginner from South Africa. Love your tutorials. All right, glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Let me do 1 second. 1 second. One thing real quick, everybody. I didn't go anywhere. I'm still here. Okay. Perfect. Sorry, I want to check something real quick. He's just to cosplay as Steve for Halloween? Nope. How long do the live sessions usually last? Usually about an hour. Sometimes we end it early. If like today, we might end a little bit early, just because I finished out the lesson. Not really getting a whole lot of questions on the lesson, which is totally fine. But yeah, between half an hour and an hour. Sometimes we go over an hour if we have a lot to talk about. Yeah, so GB's got it. 30 to 60 minutes. I feel like anything over 60 minutes is, I'm just talking a lot, basically, at that point. I like to have a good, every live class, I like to have a good, solid 20 minutes in the beginning, 15, 20 minutes where I'm teaching, and then the rest of the time we have to converse either about that or what's coming up. Because if I don't leave that time to really communicate with the community, I might as well just put out the lesson not as a live lesson. That's the whole point of doing them live, is that I take the time to converse with you all, which some people have a problem with, but they can. Yes, Jeremy. Already in Soul to Squeeze, the C chord was actually C sus2. Yeah. So if everybody's kind of confused about that C sus2, I'm not going to get too into it because that's not really the lesson today. But all that means is that they're using instead of using the C, sus means suspended. So you're basically temporarily suspending that C chord right there. Like you're playing the D and then moving to the C. You can subbed it. Everyone smash the like button. I agree. Which inversions do we usually see in the 1, 5, 6, 4? Well, let's take a look. It all depends on what inversion you're starting on. So let's take a look. Here's how chord inversions generally work in terms of chord progressions. There's something called voice leading. So first, before we talk about the pop song chord progression, let's just talk about the most common chord progression in all of music, which is the 1 chord. In the key of C, it's C. The 4 chord, which happens to be F major, and then the 5 chord. So C, F, G. Most common chord progression in all music. Now, why are some of them in inversion sometimes, some of them not? Well, here's how it works. So here's the rules. So moving between one chord and another, we're moving between C major, made up of the notes C, E, and G. Then we are going to be moving to F major, made up of the notes F, A, and C. The first rule is to retain the common tones. So let me explain what the heck that means. So, are there any notes in common between C major, made up of the notes C, E, and G, and F major, made up of the notes F, A, and C? Right? So C is the note they have in common. There's a C here, there's a C there in that chord. So the first thing you need to do is retain the common tones. That means you're keeping that in the same place. Now what you got to do for the remaining notes to get to the F chord is you need to move the remaining notes in as small amount of movement as possible. So we're going to move the E to an F and the G to an A. So far we have C major, F major. See how little movement we had to do to accomplish that? And then to move to the G major chord, you need to find any common tones between F major, made of the notes F, A, and C, and G major, made of the notes G, B, and D. Now, you may have surmised already that there are no common tones, so what you need to do is just move all three notes up to the smallest amount possible. And then to get to the last chord, we're going back to the one chord. You retain any common tones between G major and C major. I'll just give you the shortcut now. G is the common tone, so you keep that where it is. You're going to move this note up to an E, this note up to a C, and there, we've gotten to our last chord. So you want to use, and generally, not all the time, songs will use what's called voice leading, and it really just helps flow between the chords a lot better. Not only does it make them easier to play, rather than jumping up all over the place, but it's also, it just sounds better as well. It just sounds less disjointed. See how there's even a top note that's leading you up? back up to the starting note. It just has so much better of a feel. So that's how the pop song chord progression is going to go. You're going to move from C. Our next chord's G, so you got to retain any common tones, which happens to be there. So I would actually move these two down to G major. So we're going from root position to first inversion. Now, what chord do we need next? We need an A minor chord. That's 6. Well, there's no common tones, so you just move them all 3 up in this case. And then you need an F major chord. And hey, there's actually, between A minor, A, C, and E, and F major, F, A, and C, there's 2 common tones. There's A and C. So you really just got to move that F. So that's generally how it works. I know it's kind of a mouthful, and you know, I probably have to make a lesson only on this, but you know, that's how it works. Okay, take care to Mona, or was it? Yeah, Mona's got to go. All right, Mona. Well, glad to have you with us. Thanks for coming out again. Hope to see you in the near future. Have a great week. All right, Mona, have a great day. I think we're going to start to wrap up here, everybody. Chord patterns, okay. Let me write this down for Peter, because this is a good idea for a lesson. There we go. Perfect. All right. So, yeah, I can do a lesson on chord patterns. Absolutely. All right, everybody. I think I'm going to start to wrap it up. I'm trying to think if I have any other announcements. I don't think so. So I just want to say hello or goodbye to Kirk. Thanks for coming. Glad you found the lesson helpful, by the way. Load, thanks for coming out today. Jeremy, of course, thanks for coming out in the super chat. Mona, Fanny, thanks for coming. Kirk, Julio, back once again. Peter, GB, Jeremy. I already said Jeremy. I probably already said a few of the names. I always like to, some of them I say twice because I just want to make sure. Jean, thanks for coming. The Bird, Fanny. Kessie was new here. Thanks for coming out today. Jom? Is that how you say your name? Welcome out. And everybody else, I apologize if I missed you. Zaynep, of course. Thanks for coming out. The Bird. And Bold Caution Productions. Which reminds me of Bold Guy Productions, which is not a channel everybody likes on YouTube. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. Let me do a wrap up, a little bit of an outro here, and then we're gonna conclude here. Okay, where do I want to send you after this? If you want to understand more, well, let's do this. To understand more about how chord progressions and music theory works, highly recommend you check out this playlist right here. Also check out some of the other lessons we have on the channel. It can help you learn a lot about playing piano and music. So thanks for coming out today. It's been your piano teacher, Tim, here. And I'll see you in the next lesson. Oh, and subscribe because we have new lessons coming out all the time. You don't want to miss a beat. That was really good. Starting James Taylor up on the roof. Awesome. Glad that you guys found today's lesson helpful today. But not between 20 May and 9 June. Peter said something. Oh, like don't put the lesson out then? Hey, Alex, thanks for coming today. Unfortunately, you caught us here at the end, but you're welcome to come back anytime. Glad to have you with us. And, of course, you can check out the recording. All right, everybody, cheers. Have a great day. I'm going to talk to you next Saturday. Make sure... No, next Friday. What is wrong with me? I'm going to see you next Friday. And what I want you to do in the meantime is to check out the new lesson that I put out today on the channel. Let me bring that up really quick so everybody knows what I'm talking about. So I released a new lesson this morning. Oh, we're getting on 100,000 almost. Right here, rhythm practice. So make sure you check out these 3 exercises will drastically improve your rhythm. Make sure you check that out. Leave a fat like on that video if you liked it. If you didn't like it, don't leave a like. That's totally fine. But just want to throw that out there. Check that out. Let me get you a link to that. And I will post it here. New lesson on rhythm practice. So check that out. Bye all. Thanks for the lesson, Tim. I'll watch it back perfectly. Or perfect. Thanks, Rev M. Appreciate that. Thank you too, Tim. You're very welcome, Fanny. Glad to have you with us. Peter, of course. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming by today. Really, really appreciate it. And have a great week. It's been your piano teacher, Tim, here once again. Get practicing, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. Peace out. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you next week.